Welcome to a Song of Ice and Fire Symposium. My name is Nav,
And I'm Hermit.
and this is a Game of Thrones, Chapter 4, Eddard. In this chapter, the king wants to make Ned the second most powerful man in the Seven Kingdoms, but Ned is a Spider-Man fan. He knows that with great power comes great responsibility. Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you're well. How are you doing, Hermit?
I'm good. It's nice to
Okay.
get back because we haven't recorded an episode in a while, so I'm excited. It was a good read, but it was a little slow. We're still in the slow exposition, so I was a little bored, but it's okay. It's pretty good.
Just hang in there.
Yes. Nice.
Trust me.
Yes.
Okay. So, what did you think of this chapter other than the fact that it was a little boring? We learned some, even though it was exposition-y, we did learn a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the point of the exposition. It was very much like, but it was nice that it wasn't just like told. Well, I guess it was kind of told, but it wasn't.
But it was like I know what you mean. It's like very exposition-y without being just entirely exposition-y.
Yeah, they weren't just like, and then he murdered her, and then she murdered him. It was very much like, they were like, oh, she murdered him. Now let's talk about how girls look naked in the South. He murdered her. You know, like, it was like, okay, it wasn't too much. They had enough, like, weirdness and then, like, exposition. And it was like, it was an okay balance.
The weirdness took us out of the exposition-y parts of it. Yeah. Okay, so you ready for your 60-second summary?
Let's do it.
3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, so we start the chapter, and, you know, we finally meet the king and the queen, and, like, her brothers, and, like, all those people. So they, like, get off their stuff, and they're like, hey, and they, instead of just, like, saying hey and moving on, they have, like, this super weird, like, greeting ritual where they're just, like, all really weird. And then Robert's like, oh, I need to go pay respects to the dead. And so, like, they go do that. And the rest of the chapter is just like them there and talking, and like us just like getting to know Robert as a person. And so they're talking about, you know, stuff. They're talking about how the
30.
Robert's complaining about how the North sucks, and he's like, yeah, well, you know, the Starks can handle it. That's Ned. And then and then so they're pretty much just talking about that, and then somehow it segues to Robert being like, yeah, well, you know what, the North sucks. You should come with me and be my second-hand man, and remember all the good times we had back as, like, you know, doing our thing, fighting war. So let's, like, do that again. You can do all my work for me because I'm a king and I just want to be lazy and do nothing. And that was pretty much the chapter.
That was actually, like, exactly a minute.
Yeah.
So well done.
That's funny. Oh my god.
Good job.
Love that.
Okay, so that's a good summary. I am very
Okay.
proud of you. Now,
Thank
do
you.
you want to start at the beginning and just, you know, take us through the chapter?
Okay, let's do it. So, we start the chapter. The guests are here. That's essentially where it starts. And so they have this, like, weird greeting exchange where it's, like, really really awkward between Cersei and Ned, but then Robert and Catelyn are like, hey, I know you, you know? And so after this whole weird greeting thing, we get into, so pretty much Robert's like, hey, I want to go pay respects to the crypt and, like, go see the dead, pretty much. And then Cersei's like, yeah, but, like, do we have to do it now? And Robert pretty much just, like, shuns her, and he's like, no, I'm leaving, bye. And so Robert and Ned go do that. So they're, like, going down, and...
Wait. Yes. Okay, good. I'm going to stop you there so that we can cover what has happened so far in a bit more detail. Okay, first off, did you notice what the sigil of House Baratheon is?
No.
Okay, well, do you want to look it up quickly?
Let's find it. Crowned stag.
Yeah. And what do stags have?
Antlers.
Yup. So
And the wolf had antlers, like the dead wolves back in...
Was killed by an antler.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
Foreshadowing?
Like, if
I
an
don't know.
antler killed a wolf, what does that mean for the Baratheons and the Starks?
A Baratheon will kill a Stark.
Okay, well, glad I led you.
I mean, that already. Honestly, though, that's another one of those obvious things where I'm like, obviously that's gonna happen. Like, we gotta have some conflict. That's obviously gonna happen.
But now we know why all those people were so freaked out. So.
Yeah, they're like, oh my god.
Well, which Baratheon is gonna kill which Stark? What do you think?
I think what would be cool is if it was like, not Robert, but like Robert's son or something, you know?
The Crown Prince, or like he
Yes.
has a couple kids, I think.
Yeah, something like that. But I think what's more likely is a Lannister Baratheon. Or wait, but I guess technically they're not Baratheons if they're Lannisters.
Yeah.
Okay,
like,
so it can't be. Okay, so I'm going towards like Robert's kid type thing. Maybe Robert. Oh my god, imagine if like Robert wanted to kill Ned. That would be weird. But I feel like eventually that could happen because all these people are just power hungry, minus like Ned. And then,
yeah.
But
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good enough for me. Okay. And then I want to talk a little bit about Robert himself. We learned that 15 years ago, when they went down to win the Iron Throne, he was all nice and tall and thin and muscled like a maiden's fantasy.
Mans was a warrior.
He's 6.5 feet tall, and now he has a girth to match his height, so he's gained weight with all the lazy being kinging around.
I mean,
don't know.
It makes sense, right? Like, it's hard to rule and then be like, let me stay in shape when I don't have to. Like, before, he pretty much had to stay in shape.
Yeah, he was fighting a war. But also, there's this quote that I really like. Ned says that in those days, the smell of leather and blood had clung to him like perfume. Now it was perfume that clung to him like perfume.
I was like, dang.
That was funny. I just laughed out loud at that. Also, another thing we learn here is that he last saw Robert 9 years ago when they went to fight Balon Greyjoy because he had rebelled and declared himself king of the Iron Islands. And that's why Ned took his son Theon, the asshole we met last time, as his hostage/ward. So now we have a bit of backstory.
And that's why Viserys was like, I don't think Greyjoy likes him very much. And I was like, why? Now that makes sense.
Now you know. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. He actually rebelled against him, so... Yeah. So now we can go to when they're walking down to the crypts.
Okay. So they're walking down to the crypts, and by the end of the journey, as we learn, what's his face? Robert is tired. He is out of breath.
Yeah.
But the entire time, he's pretty much just, like, raving about how the North sucks, and he's like, why do you live here? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. It's, like, as big as the other 6 kingdoms combined, and he just, like, hated the journey.
And it's difficult to be there, and he's like, why are you doing this? Like, I had, I hated this, you know?
Yeah.
And
he's the king, and he had, like, the best of everything on his journey, but even then.
And even then, he was like, that sucked. But
and then he's like raving about the South, all the fruits and the flowers and the girls in the South.
But now we know why he was doing that. Originally, I was like, okay, you could just like can it and move on. But now we know why he was trying to talk about all that.
You know, but he's like, I brought you some plums or something. I don't know. And then he starts like describing, or just, you know, generally, there's a lot of casual objectification of women in his speech, which I was...
I'm not shocked by that, but I was a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, I just wish it wasn't there. Like, I wish Robert was a better person, but I guess he is who he is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And then we go down to, you know, where to the end of the crypts where Ned's dad...
There was one thing here that I really enjoyed, and I would enjoy if this kept going on. So the way Robert swears is he says, the others take my blah, blah, blah. The others take blah, blah, blah. And I really enjoy that.
Well,
And
it's like their version of to hell with blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that. Because the others is,
it's very
hell.
specific to the world. So.
Yes, I very much enjoyed that. But anyway, so I just have like he was kind of just like raving with the girls, and he's like, yeah, to hell with your mild snow, when he's talking about winter and all that. And so yeah, just talking with the girls. Definitely don't have to go through that in detail. And then so pretty much.
Sorry, go ahead.
So Robert's just raving, and you know what I really love? This chapter just kind of made me realize, I'm like, how Stark is kind of just a meme. It's really funny. He's just
They're
like
just so solemn.
And he's just like, I'm a Stark.
Yeah, sorry, there's a point where Robert laughs and it says that the statues of the dead Starks looked at him unapprovingly or something because they don't approve of laughter.
I know. And so Ned even says, he's like, I'm a Stark. Like, it's so cold that our faces can't even morph a smile anymore. I'm like, that's not even, the Starks are the emos of the world. Like, they can't, like, they're just like, they're just like, I don't really
I'm just gonna
emotions.
let you know, it's gonna get way more emo, okay?
Oh my god.
Warning you.
I'm literally gonna cringe through this whole thing. Like, someone's gonna die and they're gonna be like, I can't show my emotions. And in other books, I would, like, cry for them. In this book, I'm just gonna be like, okay, get over it. Like, stop.
Yeah.
But anyway,
well, okay. So they get to the part where his brother, his father, and his sister are buried. And we learn a little bit about them. His brother was 20 when he died, and he was strangled by the order of the Mad King. And he was actually the older kid, so he was the heir to Winterfell. But he died just a few days before he was to marry Kat. So,
that's interesting.
They're like, oh, you're dead? Okay, pass her on to the next one.
Yeah.
The transaction must go on.
Yes. I mean, that shows that importance of that transaction as well. Like, okay, like we need to marry the eldest daughter of Tully or whatever, like the Starks
it's also just like keeping those alliances and stuff and all that. Yeah, I get exactly. It, but we know that he was originally the one that was going to marry Kat. And then we learned about Lyanna. She was only 16 and she was going to marry Robert. But something happened, and Robert says that he vowed to kill Rhaegar for what he did to her. We don't know what that is, but presumably it's something that resulted in her death. And he did kill Rhaegar, that's true.
Yes.
He killed him in the river, the Trident, and when he killed him, I love this like weird detail that when Ned came upon them, all the people in both the armies were like scrambling around for the rubies that fell from his armor.
Dang, they're so desensitized to this. Like that was their first thought. They were like, oh, okay, my chance, Yeah.
But I mean, dang. Also, where else are they gonna get rubies if they're just like poor soldiers? So
yeah, exactly.
Like, it was just a weird detail that stuck with me. Yeah. And Robert, well, he loved Lyanna, so he wanted her to be buried elsewhere, like in a nice meadow under the sun or something, but instead she's in this cold, dark place. Yeah, but Ned made her...
Starks belong here.
Yeah, well, he also made her a promise on her deathbed, so, that kind of just puts a kibosh on any argument there. Yes, like, she made me promise, so...
she's the one who wanted it, not me.
Exactly. Yeah. That's pretty much...
they were, I don't know, what stuck with me, like, they were like, or he was saying, she died in a room of blood and roses, and I was like...
A room that smelled of blood and roses.
Okay.
And she was fond of flowers, we know, so...
Yes, I guess that makes sense. But, I don't know, I just, I feel like they purposefully kept those details of her death away from us. Because for the others, they're like, oh yeah, Rhaegar killed her. Or like, he did this, Here they're like, I'll never forgive him for what he did. Yeah. I'm like, okay, but what?
What exactly did he do?
Yeah, exactly.
It is kind of left vague on purpose.
And we know that Robert's definitely still not over it. He says that he kills Rhaegar in his sleep every single night. Okay, that's a little intense.
Yeah.
But I wonder what that means for, obviously when these kingdoms meet, like Daenerys and Viserys, it's not going to be happy because nobody's over anything.
Yeah.
But
everybody's holding those grudges.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I think they
that's
talk about Jon's death.
Yeah, Jon Arryn.
Yeah.
We're just gonna specify because there's
Yes.
a couple Johns and a couple Robs.
Yes.
Yes. Robert says that he died very quickly and kind of unexpectedly. He was like healthy a couple weeks before he died, but the sickness burned right through him, he says. Yeah, so that's
and he wasn't even like, he wasn't even in Winterfell where it's like winter and you're like, okay, maybe he just like died from the
died
cold,
of cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he was
logical.
down in the south. So it's weird. Like, I wonder why he got so sick so suddenly.
Exactly.
And then they talk about his widow, Liza, Kat's sister, who has apparently gone mad due to grief just because she doesn't want to give up her son. I mean, God forbid a child be raised by his mother. He's like, what was I supposed to do? Leave him to be raised by a woman?
Like, bruh. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, your dumb brother-in-law is much better than that. Yes, I agree. Like,
not brother-in-law, father-in-law.
Okay, yeah, father-in-law.
Tywin
Lannister. Your in-laws are better than that. Like, okay.
Yeah. Well, we know Ned doesn't like them, so in fact,
I trust Ned's judgment.
Yeah. So Robert wants Robert Arryn to be fostered with Tywin Lannister, but Ned is like, "Oh, I'll foster him." But Robert's like, "Oh, I don't want to offend Lord Tywin because he's all powerful and mighty." I don't know.
Yeah. But
he's also related.
Something I wanted to ask you. So they were like, he was like, "Oh, he's my namesake. I have to make sure like he's okay." Is that for like all the names, or is that just like Robert's belief? He's like, "Oh, he has my name."
Well, Jon named his son after King Robert.
Okay.
Jon Arryn named his son Robert Arryn after King Robert. So he feels like a personal responsibility to the kid.
Okay.
Because he's named after him.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then that's like, he's just like, "No, you can't foster him. End of talk." Whatever.
He's
then
like,
Ned
"You can't foster him, but you know what you can do? Be my hand."
Yes, but before that, Ned is like trying to steer away from the "become my hand" conversation. He like brings up the wall. Yeah. And Robert just kind of brushes it off. He's like, "It stood for 8,000 years. It'll be fine."
Yeah,
that's
like,
not what he sounds like, but
king.
Yeah, and we know that wall is like, at least beyond the wall. There's stuff out there that would require the king's attention, but he just has no interest in it.
That's why he wants a hand, so people stop criticizing him for what he doesn't do. Like, he even says, he's like, "Yeah, sometimes, I kind of wish I hadn't won the war." And he's like, "JK, I don't actually mean that." I'm like, well, you have some responsibilities, buddy. Like, you gotta kind of...
You want it, now you gotta deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, and then he's talking about how, Jon Arryn was an important man, and he'll be hard to replace, and he doesn't want to make Robert Arryn, the 6-year-old kid, the Warden of the East, which is a military position, but the realm is in peace, so, like, Ned's like, just give him the position, what does it matter? So maybe that indicates that Robert is like worried about a war breaking out. I don't know, because he's like, I have to worry about the next year, not years from now.
Yeah. And Ned's very much like, no, it's his right. So Ned's very much about, this is how it's supposed to be. And that,
exactly.
You can see that from like all his conversations. He's like, this is the order. I'm supposed to be
This is how things are done, and this is how they should always be done. Tradition.
Yeah, Robert's like, what does it matter?
I just want to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Which is why I want you to be my hand, my third hand, so that I can eat and you can take the shit.
Yes, and
because that's the saying.
That. Yes.
Yeah. And that's when he laughs and the statue stare at him unapprovingly. Yeah. Yes. He also wants Ned because, he trusts Ned. There's no one else in King's Landing who he trusts. And no one dares to tell him the truth, so he knows at least Ned will be straight with him and give it to him as is.
Yeah. Ned's not stupid, and he knows how to tell the truth. That's the two.
Yeah, but it's a lot of responsibility, and
Yes.
Ned does not want that. He thinks, like, you know, the North is where he belongs, but this is, you know, the king. I don't know how or if he can refuse him. Do you think he will?
I don't think he can. I think maybe I don't think he can, because Kate, like we said, and Ned's very much about order, and this is how things should be done, this is how they should be kept, and we've seen that. So I think that he wouldn't, like, he's like, okay, yeah, this is how I should be, but this is how I have to treat the king. So I think that he will grudgingly be like, okay, but then I think maybe Catelyn could be like, what the fuck, you don't want to do this, why are you doing this, you know?
Yeah, possible.
But
I mean,
I don't know.
He does say, I want to talk to my wife and, you know, figure this out before saying yes.
Yeah.
So he did the smart thing here, I would say.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and also, just to, like, try to sweeten the pot, Robert offers to marry his son Joff to Sansa, who's only 11, but, you know, irrelevant.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah, he's like, in a few years, we'll just get them engaged.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's a big deal, because then Sansa would one day be queen if Joffrey becomes king, you know? So it is, like, another powerful position he's offering Ned. Yeah. But Ned doesn't care about that stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's just like, let me think on it, sleep on it. I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the end of the chapter, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The last thing I literally have written is House Stark is a meme. That's the last thing I have written. But, yeah.
Yeah, winter's coming, and we're dark and sad and emo.
I really hope that, like, okay, the fact that it's a meme kind of proves to me that, like, okay, maybe nothing ever really comes out of that, but I really, really, really want it to be this, like, whole build-up of just, like, them just saying that all the time, and then something actually happens with it, where it's like, oh my god, I never realized they said that so many times. Do you know what I mean?
Like, winter is actually coming, and people aren't taking them seriously? Like, is that what you mean?
No, I just want winter is coming to be, like, some sort of, like, super big clue or, like, foreshadowing or something,
like,
you know?
it's like a secret.
Yeah, I want it to be, like,
treasure.
an actual secret. Not just like, oh, well, I told you winter was coming. You know?
Yeah. And, you know, it's kind of the safest words. Because, you know, eventually winter will come, so they can just keep saying it until it it happens.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't really be like, oh, well, winter is canceled for this year, because that's not how the world works.
Well, for this,
you know what I meant.
Turn of the seasons.
Yes.
Okay, so
they
we'll,
can't
like,
just
skip
be like,
straight
hey,
to...
let's just keep it summer. They can't do that over the course of time. Yeah, they can't do that.
Do you have any? Are there any other predictions? So because of the crowned stag, you think that a Baratheon, possibly the king's son, is gonna kill Ned, was it? Or was it another one of the Starks?
I think they're gonna kill Ned.
Okay. Like, soon?
No.
Or...
No.
By accident, on purpose?
Definitely on purpose, but they'll, like, pose it off as an accident.
Oh, I see.
And then,
okay. But why would he want to kill Ned? Like, they're buddies.
Maybe... Yeah, that's a good question. But, like, maybe just, like, the kid doesn't like him. You know, maybe the kid is, like, a Viserys. He's like, I don't want father to, like, give him anything. I want father to give everything to me. You know?
Oh, so... Okay, I guess.
You know?
Yes. Yeah, okay. All right, and, okay, so Robert doesn't want to make Robert Arryn the Warden of the East. Who do you think he'll make the Warden of the East?
Warden of the East.
I know you know basically no one, but Ned is already the Warden of the North, so right. It can't be him.
Warden of the East. I think it'll be his, like, brother-in-law. And then Ned's gonna be like, what the fuck?
Like, brother-in-law, like one of the Lannister Queen's brothers?
Yeah. Like, you know that twin brother we met? Maybe him.
Yeah. What's his name? Oh my god,
I have no idea.
Jaime Lannister with the golden hair.
Maybe the golden haired dude.
Okay. All right. So you do think that Ned will say yes. Reluctantly, but he will.
Yes, I do.
And you think Kat will oppose him because she'll be like, don't do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Robert's gonna be like, both sisters are crazy.
Oh, yeah, because, they're so reasonable that they're crazy.
Exactly.
I mean, we don't really know much about any of these characters. For all we know, they could be crazy. But from what we do know, it's not fair to call them crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely some misogyny playing into that.
T.
Okay. Well, if that's it for the chapter, do you want to turn your page and tell us what the next person is? Now that we know that these are all named after people.
Does it always stay people?
I can't say.
John.
Yeah.
Okay, but like which John?
Well,
I'm assuming it's
John
the one alive, because these are point of views,
Do you think we'll go to a flashback in the past? Or like a ghost John?
Oh, yeah, because they do have to like not make the action happen right away. Like, think about how many we had like 2 chapters in between when we found out the king was coming in. I mean, no, but I feel like it's gonna be John,
Like Jon Snow?
Yeah.
Ned's kid, Jon Snow? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I think
well,
so.
What do you expect from his chapter then?
Okay, it's about Jon Snow. Maybe it's like, I don't know. I think it'll just be like a sad thing. I think it'll just be sad because like he's there, but he doesn't really fit in. Like I feel like it'll just be a sad chapter.
But what's
with not a
going
lot.
to happen? Like he's at Winterfell, and
every
all these
time
people just arrived.
See, but nothing ever happens in these chapters.
Things happen. The king has arrived.
Okay, yeah, but that's like, okay, yeah, the king arrived. Like, there's nothing big for me to predict. Like, okay, what I really think's gonna happen, it'll just be like the kids playing, and they're like, I don't want to play with John. Oh, wait, but they don't play. They're like warriors now, But like, they'll be like, oh, we're gonna go do our dueling battles. They'll be like, you know what? Our family's better than yours. And
I challenge you to a duel, sir.
Exactly. That'll be them. And then John will be like, I challenge you, and they'll be like, you're pathetic. We don't even want to waste time dueling you, Or like something
I feel
I
bad
don't know.
for him already.
I know, but I feel like I'm gonna end up feeling bad for him, despite what happens.
Okay, well, I sure hope it's not as sad as you make it out to be, even though you haven't read it.
Yes.
We'll see. We shall see.
Yes.
Okay. That is everything, I suppose. I'll just remind everyone to check out our blog/website at popculturesymposium.tumblr.com, and you can find all sorts of things there, including an accumulated list of Harmut's predictions, because I like reading those. I don't know about anybody else. It makes me laugh.
Oh my. So none of them are accurate then.
I cannot say. And check out our social media. I actually made an Instagram as well. It's at Pop Culture Symposium. Everything will be in the show notes. Just click on the link thingy. And tune in next time, I guess, because we will be here. Hopefully.
Yes.
Hopefully it won't be too sad having read the John chapter. But yeah, that's all I have for today. Farewell, my friends.
Talk to you later.